Good morning, my good people, or good evening. Welcome back to my channel. It's Ali, your favorite eccentric slow man. How's everybody doing? Give it a second to make sure that it is connecting properly. I think it is. How's everybody? For anybody watching the replay, I'll wait a couple of minutes and do a little housekeeping today, you guys. We are going to be talking about the nomad life. 5 things I wish I knew when I started this journey 5 years ago. And stick around to the end because we're going to highlight where do your friends and family go when you start this journey. Uh, things are quite a bit different from when I started. And I feel like each year I've done these, what I wish I knew more than one time. And while some of the stuff stays the same, the level of intensity or what I've learned has enhanced over time. I'm almost 5 years in, a few months short of 5 years, and I tell you, it's different. And there's things that I definitely want to share, things that come up in conversation, and share my share my StreamYard link because it's prompting me to. Things that come up in conversation and some of my um, consultations on these, little chats and things like that, with people asking really, really important questions around how do you get started? How do you know um, this is the right thing for you? What if my family does not accept this choice that I'm making? And so we're going to get into that. It's going to be the last thing that I talk about, but we're going to start off our chat. You guys are joining us. Say hello to me, please. Um, please say hello. And um, and let me know where you're checking in from, if y'all don't mind. If you don't mind. Okay. We're gonna try to get this all in, let's say, an hour. So let's start off with one of my motivational, inspirational conversations. Or statements, I guess. Let's do unlimited. I create my reality with the thoughts I think and the things I focus on. I am unlimited in my ability to create a beautiful, beautiful life full of good and love. That is today's message. Be unlimited. Unlimited doesn't mean you have to only do one thing. It just means, unlimited in your thoughts, but staying focused on what it is that you need in order to have a positive life. All right. So let's just jump right into it, you guys. So there's along this journey, you're going to find many of what they call speed bumps, hurdles, bumps in the roads, so on and so forth. You're going to find those as you go. It's no different than life, back on the ranch, so to speak. Let me find my notes right quick. Yes, I took notes, y'all, so that I could stay on target. Uh, there we go. And like I said, it's not so much that so many of these things are so, profound, but more so okay, profound. Sorry, I had to make sure the volume was up. um, but it's more so realizing how to uh, cope with these types of things because there is no I'm on vacation this will be over in 2 days. I mean, it could be. I mean, if I decide to end this and go back to the States and live a similar life that I was living there, even if I was a nomad in the States, I'd have these similar because these aren't um, international based lessons per se. It's since I've been on this journey, what have I learned? And let's go ahead and kick it off. Number one, the unpredictability of this life. So, as a nomad, you guys, I live and move around. So, I don't have, I am home free. I am free of, having a, uh, close just in case it comes. It's a peg down my okay. So, as a nomad, I'm home free. So, I don't have the, I guess, luxury of having and it depends on where you are in your life. I don't have the luxury of having the house to go to anymore. Um, I offloaded both of my homes and having that space that is mine, and that's by choice, you guys. That isn't, I didn't fall on difficult times or anything like that. That's totally by choice. And as I'm out here, I haven't decided exactly where home is going to be. I'm narrowing it down though. And so the unpredictability part of it is, as a nomad, yes, I am, as I'm moving each place I go to, I decide how long I'm going to stay based on when I get there. Unless the place of familiarity, like Thailand. Thailand is a place of familiarity. I come here every year. Um, Outside of going to another city and staying in another city, Thailand as a whole is very comfortable. It's an easy stop. It can easily be home, and I could easily stay 6 months. Easily, I could easily stay a year. Doesn't mean I'd stay the whole year. It means that I could have a base here for a year and be very comfortable with that. But there's the unpredictability in the nomad life is like, so when I first started, I didn't really plan to do it this way. I didn't really plan to do it. Like I said, if you know my story, kind of just happened. And so moving around, living in multiple places, the financial instability of it as well, because there's so many things tied to your livelihood. Um, and so that's why, depending on the stage that you start your journey, really dictates the steps you're going to take to have a successful journey. So a lot of people, will ask a basic like bucket kind of question. How do I do it? How is everybody doing this? Well, everybody's situation is different. If you are retired and you get a pension, this is nomad life, and then you get a nice pension, a decent one, and or have money saved, you're good. You can pretty much, if you meet requirements financially, if your pension or your retirement meet the financial requirement, you could pretty much retire almost anywhere that has some sort of retirement or long-term visa, if you meet the requirements, of course, right? Um, it's, to me, very easy for people who most visa systems, as you'll start to notice this stuff when you're out here, are really geared for people in their 70s. They didn't really, until the last 10 years, start creating these options for people in their 20s and 30s. And then my gap, the 50s, like, we're in that gap where we've decided to leave our jobs, possibly, and we haven't hit retirement, or maybe we don't have a pension. And so, how are we finagling this? And so, there comes this other side of it, which is work. How do you work? What kind of work can you do? And realizing, as an immigrant to these places, um, you can't work everywhere. Most places won't allow you to go in and like go and get a job at cafeteria or at a bar. Some places will, but many places will not. Like it's against the law. And it's against the law if you're just nomadically moving around to go and get a job. You know what I mean? Like you can't work on a tourist visa. So the amount of moving around, um, once you get into this and you realize that these are positive things that can turn into bigger things. Oh, I don't have to stay here. I can leave, That's like a blessing and a curse, right? Because sometimes then you end up moving too much. So what I found in from the beginning is the unpredictability, because I'm a person who likes to try different things, and I'm, in this new stage as my next one is my number two is going to flow into this, that I'm looking for a certain type of lifestyle to fit into a certain type of bucket that I'm in right now. A year from now, that bucket may expand, that bucket may decrease, it may shrink. I don't know. But there's the unpredictability. So understanding that there's going to be, depending on where you are in your life, you may have ebbs and flows, like real ebbs and flows. And if you truly don't want to return back home, um, here's some things that you're going to want to think about when you're starting this journey. So this is going to be like a one-on-one session with me for free on Facebook. Okay. Number two is things I wish I would have known, and I will caveat this because I'm a terrific saver, but budgeting. Like I still suck at budgeting overall with the fluidity of my income. Because when you know what you have, but then you also have to do things to acquire more, you're kind of out here on your own doing your thing. And on top of that, moving to different places. So if you're starting this nomad journey, you're like, okay, I got a year and I want to be in a different region every 4 months. So I'm gonna visit 3 places. But in that time that I'm in 3 different countries or 3 different cities, I want to visit 3 different areas within that. So that means that every month you're moving. Or you decide 6 months I'm going to stay in the same city and stay in the same apartment and then just go and visit things from there. So deciding all of that, but figuring out that budget system, what works. And budgeting doesn't just mean recording your expenditures. It means looking at what you can afford when you start. And then also saying, okay, when am I going to actually have a steady income that I can count on that is going to feed this budget? And that's kind of where I had some faltering. So one of the ways I want to say you can try to circumvent some of this is take half of, because most people say, well, how much money do I need? What do I need to start? If I want to do this for a year, how much money do I need to have saved? Because I don't have a pension, I don't have retirement. What job can I do? Can I go somewhere and find a job? Everything is relative to the place you're going to. And keep in mind, much as we don't want to bring in the politics, right now you have to bring in politics because everything I feel is so fluid. Every day I get up and there's a new thing on about what's being cut out, what's being changed, visa requirements. Not saying that we can't go to a place, but all the places we had free visa access, just show your blue card and you get a stamp. That's going away slowly but surely, or the possibility of it going away is ever present. So you're going to have to calculate in those things as well, and that may decrease the amount of time we can stay in a place. All of those things. If they start requiring show of income and things, those things are really going to make a difference. But as far as budgeting, what I say is take first of all, one half of what you make, what you, you know, what you make today, and then all of your expenses for that. Put that in a bucket. And then deciding if you're going to keep your current place or if you're like, my lease is expiring, I'm getting out, I'm gonna get a storage unit and I'm a bounce. I got a year, I'm gonna figure it out. See if I can do this for a year. Take what you have and um divide that in half. And that's at least the bare minimum of what your budget should be. Now, if you're going to a place like Dubai, or even somewhere in Europe, or you're a I need all the amenities that I can get in a US house, not realizing that a lot of places have this, you're going to want to keep that 100%. This is what you need to make. Because what happens is, um, as you as you start traveling around, one of the things that we, I think, forget to do is kind of graduate mentally into the fact that we're wanting change. So we say we want the change, we get up and we want to leave, but we don't change any of our behavior. We want everything the same as it was in the States. And honestly, to have everything that you want in the States may cost you. It may cost you a little bit more. Not so there's a because I know somebody's gonna say, but wait, I thought it's cheaper to live everywhere. It's not everywhere, but it can be. But what's cheaper is it's a different culture. It's what you're getting in terms of accommodations may not be exact. So, for example, I'm not in a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 living room, 2 car garage, 2 fireplace, fenced in, gated backyard. I'm not in that. I'm not living in that. And if I were to compare that to now living in a condo and paying 1,000, that it almost isn't the same. But if I could get a house that has maybe a pool, then it starts to, you have some of those balances, checks and balances. So it's not exactly the same, but I'm getting this value. But what I also say is take that, whatever you budgeted, and then add in your mental budget. Because in order to sustain all of this stuff that you want and to continue working and or figuring out what you wanted to do and change ebbs and flows, you're going to need to have that mental budget as well. You're going to need to be able to say, okay, this is not going to be the same. Or I'm going to go to a place and everything is like upscale, but it's really inexpensive, but it's a smaller space. What can you manage? And so, as far as budgeting, in order to do that, what I say is right now, start saving for yourself 10%. Put aside 10% every single time you get some money. You find $1, put 10 cents away. You find $1, put the whole dollar away. You know, if you can't save 10% right at the gate, like it's a 401k, if you can't save 10% from what you make, then start to consider other forms of income. Don't give up. Don't say you can't do this. It may simply be that you need to supplement. And so these are sacrifices and things. And so understanding that you have to do that now to start building at least a cushion kind of starts to put you in the mindset of, okay, I am going to go and live a life that is different than what I have right now. Because nomading, it's a different life. Even becoming an immigrant and moving to another country, that's a different life. It's not, this everything that you see on an Instagram reel. Like for the most part, if I don't leave my this apartment, whichever hotel I'm in during the day, I could literally sit all day in my room or my apartment. Oh, well, how is that any different than if I was in my house, right? So everything isn't like this glam thing. Okay, so I'm getting off track. I'm getting off track. But put away or allocate half of what you spend today. So you make a certain amount of money. How much are you spending today? Keep that budget in mind, and then also understand that you're going to need probably a minimum of 50%. Like, you don't really want to go more than 50%, in my opinion, of what you're spending today. Otherwise, why leave the luxuries unless you're in like a rat hole, a rat infested place, and you're paying 1,800 a month. Yeah, you can that totally go and live somewhere else and with that budget. So if you got 900 bucks, right, to spend on accommodations plus paying for everything else, because a lot of places you go to, the 900 may include, I don't know, water or something like that, and you pay the electricity. But you'll find like the electricity in some places can be really low and electricity can be really high. And so also with budgeting is changing your lifestyle. So turning the AC on in every room may not be advantageous. Like, it still may be cheaper in other places, but I think this lifestyle also makes you start paying attention to your footprint. Like, it starts making you think about different things. It's not like you didn't pay these bills before, and it's not like you didn't pay them separately before, but I think when you go somewhere else, like completely somewhere else, and you're engulfed in their culture and the way that they do things, you really have more ability to pay attention to what you're doing, how you're doing it, and if you want to change it. Okay, so that's the budgeting thing. Put 10% of your paycheck or however you make money aside starting today. Put it aside every paycheck, right? If you could do more, go ahead and do more. I was putting away 50% of what I was making. And then I would use that to go and buy things, this and that and the other, to travel, because I was traveling 3 or 4 times a year, 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And then this became a livelihood. If I would go back, I would have saved more. I would have spent less. I would have, I mean, all the things that I did, I just would have upped it just a little bit more because I'm on this journey now. All right. So number three, keeping unnecessary things. So a lot of times when we decide to go on this journey, we decide to hold on to things. So I have a storage still, and my storage has gone from upscale storage all the way. It's same kind of storage, but like, I'm down in a smaller unit, and I'm hoping to whittle that down even more the next time I visit the States. And then all the other little things that you may be paying. So what happens is and this is part of the budget too, when you're looking at like a line item, all these different things that you pay for, how much of those things will go away when you start nomading? When you move, when you go abroad, and then how much stuff is going to stay? Because I think a lot of times we don't account for the things that we're going to continue paying for. And so while we're saying, oh, well, it only costs 1,200, you could spend easily less than $2,000 and live in a place every month, have your food, hire cleaning staff, and get your transportation card, and go out to eat on occasion, have all your all this stuff. You can have all this stuff and live easily in some places under $2,000. But then you're like, why am I spending $4,000 a month? Oh, because I still have bills at home, right? You're paying for um, storage, whatever. Like, so when I left, I still had a house. So I was still paying a full mortgage. And I hadn't rented it out. I'm telling you, this was like so like impromptu when I started this journey. I really say, if you're gonna do it, kind of know you're gonna do it so that you can pre-plan. I would not do it the way that I did, because I kind of just rolled into it. It kind of just happened. I knew it was gonna happen, but I still did not set myself up properly, I think in the beginning, to offset, the amount of time it would take to kind of, you know, um, recover from not being in that mindset. It kind of just happened. I just stayed. I left and I just stayed gone, kind of a thing. Um, Insurance, transportation, like if you have a car, if you're paying a car note still, or if you're, paying insurance on the car, paying storage for the car, different bills that you have that you don't shut off. If you, like I said, have a place and you've got insurance and or insurance, you've got like utility bills or anything like that. All of those things carry forward where you are. Okay. And so you have back home costs to add to your new costs. Hopefully they are less than what you were paying before in terms of, so now you have an apartment or a house or whatever, and then you've got your old bills, but are you still paying the same amount? Are you netting out? And maybe you are paying the same amount, and that's okay. But that's part of that budget. That's part of how much money do I need. Okay, so these are things that every time I look back, I'm like, oh wow, okay, so this is why. Because and it's that mental holding on to things that kind of trips you up. Number 4, creating new expenses. So in addition to the things that you don't turn off, you start to create new ones: storage, virtual mailboxes, international banking fees, you know, all these different types of things that little by little may seem like $5 or $6, and storage can be 100 or more easy, especially if you're getting storage in the States. So you just added 100 a month, that's 1,200 a year. Easy, right? Virtual mailbox as low as $10. A lot of people are doing up to 20 if you don't have someone to collect your mail for you, whatever the case may be. If you just need a virtual address for business or whatever, that's an additional expense. And these things, they just continue to add up, add up, add up. And so that's how a lot of times people are like, well, I didn't know it was going to cost this much. And it's because, we're not compartmentalizing each thing and then bringing it all back together. We're looking at, oh, when you move, it's so cheap. Oh, when you no matter you go and you stay 6 months, is so cheap. But we're not like taking into account all the other things that you do, especially if you're trying to maintain. Even if you rent out a house, this goes back to, having the expenses. Number 3, keeping expenses. Even if you rent out your place, you've got expenses with that, because now you got to hire a cleaner or a management company, right? So you may be renting it out, but now you got to make sure that you can afford your mortgage plus the extra for the maintenance of it. That things, and for me, it was an extra thing because I did everything myself. Like I could fix most things myself. So now I've got I clean my house myself. I mowed my own lawn, and I did have a lawn service after a while, but it's mowing my own lawn. I bought a lawnmower. I mowed my own lawn. And so, excuse me. So when you start to have those types of things, you start adding and tallying those things up, and you're maintaining them when you leave, and you're like, I'm just breaking even. So if you're just breaking even, then it's not don't do it. It's, oh, I need to account for that. I need to, budget that in. So budgeting at a whole new, it's like, brand new budgeting. Like that extra enhanced budgeting that you're going to be doing. And so number 4, like I said, was creating new expenses. So all of those new expenses that you have add to kind of that bottom line. And then also, in addition to that, is the life that you create, the expenses that you create to start to build new networks. And that leads us into number 5, which is why y'all came here. Where did your family and friends go? So support or lack of support, realizing that the support that you had, or the people that were in your life when you first started your journey or before you even decided to do this, may change over time. And I want to just spend a little time to talk about that. Hold on, let me see. Okay, it's only 8:30. I want to spend a little time to talk about this because I think there's this misconception that we have as the people who are leaving and the people that are being left. you know, there's this assumption that everybody is going to 100% of the time always be available to you, always be like energetic and just excited about, ooh, what are you doing today? If you're, so for example, I do content. I share some of my journey, and it's not necessarily exciting. So a lot of times it's like comparing it to, and even I find myself doing that, like, huh, I didn't do anything today. Huh, should I share that? Well, it's my life. And so there aren't all of these like amazing things that I'm doing on a regular basis. Um, and that's real life. Like that's like real life. I'm gonna say this because this kind of goes back to the budgeting, the unpredictability part and all that. This is well, actually I'll do this tip later. This is gonna be one of my how do you circumvent um these things. I'll do that then and remind me if I forget to go back to this. Like another thing that you should consider doing um, to kind of keep yourself together. So the lack of friends and or family that kind of transpires over time. You start to see people dwindle, people go away. They're not necessarily, as into this journey that you're on. And so the first thing I say is unless you're really close, and I'm talking about extended family, and all of a sudden, and you're used to speaking to everybody all the time, or you have friends that you speak to all the time. That's normal in real life because everybody has their own life. So I just want to say that out of the gate that there should be this expectation, especially as adults, that our lives are going to change just a little bit. Um, our lives are going to change just a little bit as we go through it. And so, someone could be getting married, having kids, starting a new job, or just living their life as we get older. Different things become important to us, right? And so, for me, I'll use myself as an example. For me, traveling is very important to me. This lifestyle is very important to me. While it is and can be stressful, it can be unpredictable. It can be like, oh, I really want to do this, but at the end of the month, like, wow, I didn't realize that this is what it was going to end up being like. This is what I want in the stage that I'm in my life. But maybe my friends and family that I have before, this is not their life. And many of them may or may not understand. Some of them may like think it's like awesome. I can't, but wow, that's great, you know. But that doesn't mean that they're going to show up every day. That doesn't mean that when you have something or you're doing something. For me, I'm reinventing, how how I sustain myself, and it's an ongoing thing. That should be like a number six. That's going to be my number six is reinventing yourself, realizing that you have to reinvent yourself. So we're going to like kind of jump back and forth between five and six, but understanding that um those the people who like maybe were in your corner, had your back, were always around when you were home or in the beginning of your journey, may their them showing up may change a bit. And that's natural. That's like human nature. That doesn't mean that your family stopped caring about you unless they actually say it. It doesn't mean that your friends don't care about you unless I mean they might. Who knows? Everybody has like they can feel how they want to feel. But the reality of it is, guys, and tune into this, draw into this, is that we grow. And as we grow, we change. And as we change, We either fit or we don't fit. And I think one of the hardest things for people, like a lot of people ask me about being homesick. Aren't you homesick? Don't you miss your family? Don't you miss your friends? And there's too many ways not to miss people in terms of communicating with them. There's too many avenues to be able to chat with people. Now, if you need to physically be in the presence of someone, budget it in to travel back home. That's another, like, all this stuff comes together. If that's something you need, but this is also something you need to budget that in. You need to plan for that. You need to schedule that. Or have people come to you. I have my travel bestie once a year at least with my brother. And while we chat throughout the year on social media, or not social media, on our family chats and stuff like that, it's just completely different when we hang out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks at a time at the end of the year or in the middle of the year, whenever we decide to kind of come together. And it is like the coolest thing because we catch up, but it's just like being at home. We just happen to be at home. When we're at home, we don't spend every waking day with each other. We have our own lives. We work in different places. We live in different cities. So, um, hey, Marilyn, good morning. I'm on number 5, the lack of support. So if you guys, like, if this makes sense, if you've started this journey, um, and you're noticing a change in the people around you, the people who you grew up with, your ride or dies ain't riding, ain't dying with you no more. I have a solution for you, but I want to really stress that you should not expect it. You should not, the same as you don't want someone to put you in a box, the same as you don't want someone saying to you, why do you have to leave? What's out there? What's over in the other part of the world? Why are you going over there? Like, you don't want someone to say that to you because you're ready to change. Your butterfly is, and you coming out of its cocoon. You're ready to fly. And you mad that the other caterpillars ain't even going into the cocoon. You know what I'm saying? They might not be butterfly caterpillars. They may not even be monarch moths, or is that a monarch butterfly? I don't know. They may not be the ones that, what's the word when the caterpillars turn into butterflies? It starts with a C or something. I can't think of it, y'all. But they may not even be the species that goes through that process. They may be the ones that just stay. They stay wriggling caterpillars, just wriggling caterpillars, eating leaves, eating all your vegetables. They may just be those, you know what I'm saying? And that's fine. You can't make someone change just because you're changing. So your family and friends, they're still there, but they're also looking and they may be saying the same thing. They may simply be going, well, why'd you leave? Why did you change? We ain't good enough? Have you ever thought about that? Like, flip the script. Like, they may literally be saying, what is so great, or why you think you're better, why do you need to leave, what's so much better over there? You ain't gonna have friends and family, right? So then we start you know chastising each other, and that's unhealthy. I simply want to stress that you can have all of these things. You can have excuse me. Whew, that's been coming for a minute. You can have this new life that you want to live, this trial period, this long-term period, this decision that this is what you're going to do. You can also have your friends back home. But like in everything, you've got to be willing to, it's so weird. You've got to be willing to make adjustments. And how do you make adjustments? What's the adjustment that needs to be made? Start making friends where you are. Okay. I think one of the hardest things is, well, how am I going to meet people? I'm not an outspoken person. Listen, if this is truly something that you want to do, like this is really who you are, you have to do it. You have to do it for you. Because then if you don't, number one, you're not going to be your best self. Number one. For those friends that you're trying to hold on to, for the family that you're trying to, you know, uh, manage, stay the same for, you're not going to be any good to them anyway because you're not living in your true authentic self. And it's going to come out in your behavior, it's going to come out in your demeanor, it's going to come out in you limiting yourself. So remember, our thing for today was unlimited. The things that you focus on, um, the things that you decide are, what you need in your life, they create the beautiful life that you want. You're not going to be your best self holding on to the things that don't allow you to be your best self, right? And in no way I'm saying are your old friends or your family keeping you from being your best self. What I'm saying is when you hold on to people who have chosen to to stay on the same street, but that's not the street you want to stay on, who's at fault? So you can't be upset at other people for this not being their dream or their vision, just as you don't want them to be upset at you that this is your dream and your vision. What you got to do is you got to go make some friends. You got to be around people. You have to create the circle that works for you. And I'm going to tell you, when I first started, so I was in radio for 5 years. So I had built a network. People were always used to watching me, talking with me. I think this is why I picked Wednesdays, because Wednesdays is just my day when I used to do my radio show and all that. And I had such an amazing following. And honest, I've seen it completely dwindle. And when it doesn't matter as much is when I'm in places where I have built new circles, where I've got people that I can connect with. Um, and even when I'm not in those spaces, but I've got like a pocket of other friends, right, that travel and live this life. And let me tell you, when I first started, I I knew I wasn't out here by myself, but I started at 48 as an almost 50-year-old Black woman from America. Yeah, we are rare. We are not the, dime a dozen backpackers and, Europeans that, this is their livelihood anyway, because they've always grown up going to other countries because that's like going to another state. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's completely different living in Africa for a year. And I'd been before, I'd been to two places before, but still, living there for a year and not having uh my network before I went. But I built it, I created it, and it was only a couple of people that I still keep in touch with today. We're not around each other, but if I went back to Tanzania today, I know for a fact that I could go and hang out with these people that were just people in the beginning, but became friends to me over time, because we were in the same place doing the same thing, kind of graduating the same way, just doing the same. Okay, just checking my volume. Marilyn, looks like you sent another message, and I can't see it because I got this crazy banner thing that's in the way. Oh, you said cocoon. Thank you. But it's called chrysalis or something like that. It's the process of the butterfly of the caterpillar morphing. There's a name for it. I'd probably Google it, but I'm not going to. Um, Excuse me. And so in some places, like I would, even when I came to Thailand after Africa, I came here in 2021 and sent out like my call, anybody here, anybody here, and ended up meeting a handful of people, and still keep in touch with a couple of those people to this day. But the time that we spent while I was in Thailand was fantastic. Had a blast, had an amazing time, and then met other people on top of that. And then started learning that there's so many of us out here, like people that I met people I would never have encountered. And I mean, like people that were so different, some from the States, but then also meeting people from other countries and finding out that people around the world have been doing this for 20, 25 years, and I'm just getting started. So then the excitement comes, for me, because now I have a group that I can learn from. So I can pass things on to my friends and family back home or who I knew before who may be considering starting this journey, because now I can pour into you, but I can also be poured into. And there are, ebbs and flows with that too, as I realize, because if you're not being poured into and you're constantly giving, constantly, you know, tilting over the spout, I'm a little teapot, sure, whatever. Eventually you're going to run out of liquid to pour into other people. You're going to run out of juice. You're going to run out of the stuff. And I think I hit that point as well. And that's, I think, when I did the hiatus and kind of fell off of really doing social media, and, keeping up with my community that I had built, and that kind of thing. And I'm starting all over. This is that revamp part. But this was something that, I wish I would have known the complexity of it. Even though I didn't like hang out with a lot of people, there was a life that I created back in the States with my livelihood, based on my livelihood, that completely went away. I was in radio for 5 years, so I was on red carpets like almost every weekend, it felt like, but it really wasn't. In the summertime, it did. It was like, all the time. But I always knew every week I would come together with this group of people. You know, they were kind of like my responsibility to make sure that we were successful, or to do my part to so I had some um I had a purpose in that, right? And when you go abroad and you leave everything behind and you start all over, you got to find new purpose, right? Your purpose can't be everybody else that you left behind still kind of carrying you along, or still being excited in the fact that, oh my God, I ate from a food cart today. I show you guys like a lot of stuff. And literally take a video every day of the same thing, because to me it's like so super cool. But it's not like Songkran, like the festival that just, it's not that. It's not like people with water guns and buckets of water, and you can, put clay and stuff on the policeman's face. They're in it too. They're soaking. It's not that every day. It's like just walking down the street, and I'm walking down the street where I am, and I realize that I'm literally in the area of 420. Like, I've never really walked down. I'm always on the train. And so I've never really walked down the street, even though I stayed here for a month in December. And I'm like, oh, this is 420 route. I'm not a 420er, but bam, I can tell you where to be if you want. I mean, they had some. They got a big sign with the Kush on it, and it say 100 baht. I don't know how many ounces it is, but 100 baht, y'all, is $3. It's $3. $3.33, right? Okay, so anyway, that's just a little add-in. But understanding that that network that you had before likely is going to change. And if that's something that you truly need, because I've even watched people on YouTube, so they become YouTube family or whatever, who are doing the same thing. And they're like, I had to go back home because I was homesick. I missed my family. I missed, my family stopped talking to me, or I left and they didn't really support, and I needed this and that, because sometimes you need things. Like I have to call my mom sometimes and say, "Hey, can you get this for me? Can you find, you need somebody there, because you can't take it. I mean, unless you just take everything with you. And no, man, you can't take everything with you. Like I have a storage here in Thailand. I really would probably get a storage in South Africa too. But yeah, you as a nomad, you don't want to carry all this stuff. Like I have luggage. I'm literally gonna go drop a couple bags off before I leave here on Sunday and put it in my storage, because I don't even want to travel around with all of this stuff. Plus, I added this, so I can get rid of some stuff, like hair stuff I can get rid of now. Listen, so I got off track. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me bring it back. Where do your friends and family go? Nowhere. They're where you left them. You have to be okay with the fact and understand that you are going to have to find new friends. You're going to have to find a new circle. Um, Even if you're a hermit type personality, which I can be. I learned that we learned that as kids. We were taught to be able to be by yourself. Even if you have that type of personality, you still are going to need a nucleus of people. Like if you're in a country where they don't speak English, is not the native language, or it's not the language that they've been learning for the last 10 to 20 years, including the older people. Like Thailand, English is becoming like you could speak English pretty much everywhere I go. Everybody speaks English. Everywhere that I go. Even on the street, they accommodate people by putting signs up. So it's not this haggling thing. It's not like you go up and you don't know how much the fruit is that you want to buy, because it's a big sign. And so you don't have to worry about them overcharging. They're charging every now, I don't know, they might charge their friends less. I don't know. But I mean, it's so easy to kind of function in that. But that'll be like part two. Like there's so much more to this things that I've learned along this journey. But these are like the top, kind of five things. And the number six, I'll put that in the next one. But don't think that you don't have support. You're just going to have to get used to accepting different support and building from different support, and realizing how amazing it is to be around people who truly understand where you are in your journey. There's nothing like talking to people and you're just super excited about, oh my God, today I got up and I went and got my BTS card. And they're like, "What's a BTS card?" "Oh, I found out today that, when you go get your SIM card, they can convert it to an eSIM. You do it in 5 minutes and da da da." Okay. You know? Um, or you find some little loophole or walking path, or, whatever. And the people back home are like, "Yeah, that's cool. That's cool." But they really aren't engaged because it's not the life they're living. You know what I'm saying? It's You're not talking about getting up and go, like, and you're not even a person that they would reach out to, because maybe you don't work the um traditional job anymore. So the whole, "Oh man, I worked 8 hours a day and I had to this and I had to drive in." And so there's a disconnect there now, because you don't have the same lifestyle as them. So why are they called, so you catch up on things, but it starts to become more and more minute. Like it's more and more little things that you're doing together. Um, and so you really need to understand you got to be around people. This is everything. Even when your parents, when you was a kid, and as a parent, you tell your kids to get around people that you're equally yoked with, and or who have more yoke than you. And you are actively willing and trying to learn more from them, not just mooch off the yoke, but you are trying to gain your own additional yoke, so that you can now be, an asset to that new relationship. And so this is all about continued growth. So it's not just, "Oh, okay, so I'm going to figure out how to make money. I'm a budget better so I can, sustain this livelihood." It's also sustaining or maintaining and or creating the the stability and support through other people, because you never know when you're going to need somebody else. You never know when, you may be sick and you need to call somebody. I can't stress enough how, I mean, like right now, I don't have like my friends right now that I'm kind of really getting to know are people that I'm like meeting in the building, like in the lobby or lounge and co-working areas. My house sit hosts are people that I would literally reach out to because we end up being friends. Like it works out every time I house sit that these are people that I would like chat with. And so if I was staying in the city longer, and something happened and I don't have that nucleus, because I don't really have it here in Bangkok yet. Um, I've met a few people. Well, okay, I got like three, but they're not really like the connection that I'm looking for just yet. But they are inspiring to me. But I would reach out to my host because I feel like I know them well enough to say, hey, can you tell me where I can do this or that, or this came up? Can you advise me? So I'm always connected in some kind of way. And I feel like even here, I'm in a place where, same with South Africa, I'm in a place where I feel like I can just go and ask someone if I need something, not like a personal kind of thing or whatever, but like if I need help with something, need guidance with something, talking to people and, they're really willing to help. And so that also makes things a little bit easier. But if I would have known or understood 5 years ago that the path that I was going to take, um, to sustain myself, products, my travel, all the digital marketing type things that I've created, that the support was not going to come from family, which kind of, we're always trained to believe that your family and friends will always support you, but then as we get older, we're told that they never will. And the reason why we believe that, you guys, is because remember when we were selling them Girl Scout cookies? Remember when we would sell that sausage and them cheese when we was in grade school? And they said, don't go door to door. Give it to your family. So on church Sundays, meltdown Wednesdays, prayer Thursdays, you'd always have your paper and everybody in the family would fill. So you're so used to family supporting. Whenever you have something, your kids have something. Your parents, they spent $300-400 on stickers or whatever, the chocolate, the world's finest chocolate. You didn't have to worry about any of that. Your mama took it to her job and she sold it. You know what I'm saying? And so we're so used to that that when we get to this age demographic and we're like, what do you mean? Like, ain't no friends or family on here. Like they never even come on later, or if they do, they never say anything. And it's kind of like it takes you by surprise. You're like, yes, I can't believe it. Because I think uh we've been duped into like this bond that has to stay and has to remain. But in all actuality, how can it? Because as you're growing, other people may be growing or going in a different direction, a different path, and you're not following them in their path and everything that they're doing. So why would you expect them to following your path and everything that you're doing? You got to find the people, that want to know about what you're doing, have an interest, and or are living the same life, because you may not need, you like I said, you may have money put away, you may have pension, you may have social security, whatever the case may be, wherever you're coming from, and you already got your nucleus of friends. You don't need no money, or so you don't need to be on here, sharing information. You might not need this. And so, but you've built your own group of friends. Y'all like got your house and your yard, and you do your thing, and so you don't necessarily, outside of the small group of people, you don't need to really chat with anybody back in the States or back home. because you built what you need. You know what I'm saying? So everybody has like a different, um, they're in a different place, a different situation. And that's why I offer one-on-ones. Shameless plug. This is why I offer one-on-ones, because there's so many caveats to setting yourself up, you know, with these things in mind, the budgeting part, the planning for the retained costs, planning for the new costs, planning for new support, new friends. There's a different way to approach it almost for everyone. But some of the basic things that you should know, and just knowing that these things exist, to me is like half the battle. So I'm just here to kind of help and share some of this stuff with you. So your friends and family still there. Hopefully you making new friends and new family as you go along your journey. Do not thwart your journey if this is really what you want, if this is truly who you are and you know it. Um, I truly believe that there is nothing that we can't do if we truly want to do it, right? There's only the things that we don't do and we don't become successful at because usually we don't try. We aren't doing it, right? We're not actually actively making change. Yeah, know what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope that is helpful, you guys. The 5 things that I wish I knew 5 years ago. I hope, next year I've got some additional things, but I don't know. I might do a part 2, may do a part 3. I don't know. But come back because y'all will be here every Wednesday, every Wednesday. Um, oh, there's the messages finally. I have a radio voice, Marilyn. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know what? Listen, I be trying to do my newscaster voice because I listen to them and I'm just like, so that's what going to journalism or being a broadcaster school is about. It's the cadence and the way that you talk and how you read. And I was like, it would be like, ma'am, no. That's what I was about to. I mean, if I had to do it, of course you have to do it. But I laugh because of the emphasis that you put on certain things as you're reading it and all that. And I was just like, that's some good stuff. But thank you. And I think that's what comes across too is I have a I got it on. I have that speaking kind of uh I guess radio voice. I guess it's radio voice, but also being on camera all the time, even though it was on radio, you film everything. We were going live every show. And so I was always on camera. And so that has carried over. And I love it because it's part of my personality as well. So it was a way for me to be me. And share information. So I was fulfilling my purpose on both ends when I was in radio, and I loved it. I loved it. Totally understand. True fact, Ali. This video must be shared often. Thank you. Um, yeah, it's something I literally even I just like had this like realization. Because I, doing budgeting and calculate. Oh, and I hope everybody got your taxes in yesterday. Because this is 16th for me. Oh, it's 9 p.m. for y'all. So y'all got until midnight, right? Oh no, it was yesterday. It's 9 p.m. for you guys on the 16th. I'm sorry. So hopefully you got your extension or you filed your taxes. And you guys, just FYI, you leave and move and you keep your US citizenship. I don't care if you make money or not, you still have to file taxes. So that's my other little that's why you gotta stay to the end because all the good nuggets come out at the end. Make sure you stay to the end. I've been in the airline industry for over 30 years now, retired, change the mindset and always learning. Listen, that technically isn't something that I needed to learn, but it's definitely something that I would put on the list. Maybe that's part 2 of other things that I've learned or other people have shared with me that I think that's one of the big things, Marilyn, is that mindset change. The mindset change, okay, I'm gonna go over a little bit. Mindset change is so interesting because I think a lot of times when we hear that, it's like that cliche statement. It's like, oh, change your mindset, yada, yada, right? And so, we kind of mock it a little bit, but it is a real thing. It is something that you really have to dedicate some time and mentality to, because if you're not serious about where you currently are and where you're trying to be mentally and physically, if you don't put real work into it, all of this could be gravy and you still won't be successful. You could still end up not being successful because your mindset didn't change. And mindset becomes all the things that you think you need in order to survive, and then seeing and realizing and being immersed in maybe some of that isn't true, but not wanting to and willing to change how you think about those things so that you can embrace it and be your best self, right? And so, you know, a lot of people think it's like trying to explain to somebody what DEI is, right? Like DEI is for any group that's marginalized, any group that is like not considered, any group that they had to make additional amendments to vote, any group that they had to make amendments to so people wouldn't bully them. That's DEI, right? It's everybody else beyond who the original Constitution was made for. So you still have to be political in this world because you need to understand where you stand in places, but it's the same as saying, I've got to, um, I got to look at, what was I saying? What I was saying. I don't know why we jumped to the DEI part, but I was giving kind of example of, how it mirrors the thought process. That if you don't actually make an asserted effort to change the way that you think or change your behavior and adjust to the life that you say you want to live, you won't actually end up doing it. You won't be successful in it. If you think that it doesn't apply to, the grand scheme of things. And if you're a Beyonce, if you're a Mark Cuban, if you're one of those people, and you go by the house on the hill and you got all the things that you had before, you're still a cultural shift that you have to a lot for, which means changing your mindset. It's still a cultural shift, but you might have the finances to have all the things that you have at home. But if you don't, and if you're doing this because you want change, because you want a mental freeness, you want to live a simpler life, you want to meet different people, you're going to have a mindset change. Definitely going to have a mindset change. All right, you guys. So that is my spiel for today. That's what I kind of wanted to chat about. Because I'm coming up on my 5-year anniversary, my 5-year leave anniversary, depart anniversary. I don't know what I want to call it, but I've learned a lot along the way, and I feel like I'm always learning something new. I'm always looking at something differently, and I'm always having an aha moment, and I am open and here for it. And I'm like, oh, why didn't I know that before? Why wasn't I thinking about it? Because keep in mind, you guys, I don't know when you start, but at the age of 48, I had worked at the age of 48. I had already worked 36 years of my life. Okay. Because I started working at 12 years old. I'd already worked 36 years of my life. And already so much of this stuff is ingrained in us that we don't even know how we think and what our mindset is because it's our livelihood, it's our lifestyle, it's everything. Until you go to a place and you can't do something that you've always done, or something isn't utilized, or they just don't have it, or they have all these other cool things, and you're like, oh, y'all do that here, and we don't have that. It's until you actually immerse yourself in a different place, a different culture, around different people. It's until then that you realize, or do or don't realize, that things are different depending on where you are. Um, and in order to fully enjoy it, because this is what you want to enjoy, you got to immerse yourself into it. You've got to be willing to say, this is what I want. And in order to do that, I'm all in. It's like taking language lessons. And my comparison from earlier is going to come back to me at some point. But it's like taking language lessons and not being fully committed, not being fully, into, or any class. And you're not really there. You kind of just doing it, you know. Um, you're never really going to truly learn the language. You're going to learn some words, but you're never going to truly learn the language and how to speak it, because you're not immersing yourself into it. You're not forcing yourself. You're not removing the old. You can make space for the new. See, another nugget at the end of the show. Y'all gotta stay to the end. So anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. So this is a 20-hour long video. And you guys will be back here next week on Wednesday. I may be in a different city. I haven't decided yet. So there's that unpredictability, which then increases my cost and different things. Maybe, maybe not. Um, but that unpredictability, which makes things go up and down. So if you are interested in this life and you really want to understand the unpredictability that I touched on, because there's so much more to it, please sign up for a one-on-one with me. Join my BTS group. And as I start to rebuild the members in that group, we'll start doing not one-on-one, but group-based conversations like this that are more in-depth, things that we can talk about privately a lot more than we can on these types of platforms. So it's just like a Patreon, my BTS, and it's in my mind, your body, and soul. I'll put the link on here. You guys can see it. It's also on my link tree. If you click on link tree, you'll see the different options that you can sign on up for. But yeah, I have all of those things available on Linktree if you guys want to support me. If you're brand new to my channel, thank you guys for hopping on and hearing what I'm chatting about today. I hope that it resonates and helps any and everybody, even if it's just one person, to start your journey and or to prepare better for your journey, or know how to start preparing outside of, packing your bags and that kind of thing. I'm grateful and I'm honored and blessed to be able to share some of this stuff with you guys. Because anytime you can help someone and make even just a small bit of their life a little bit easier, it's amazing, right? I don't even have to know, but if that happens to be you, please report back and let me know that this was helpful to you. And for those who continue to pop on, like Marilyn, and show their support and all of that continuously, even if it's just a view on my YouTube or my other social media, and sharing that information with other people, because you never know who's at this point and who's ready to be a part of this circle that I'm in. I appreciate you just as much, if not more. But thank everybody for taking the time with me your Wednesday night. and my Thursday morning. And I'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place, unless something changes. But I'll notify you in advance. All right, you guys, I'm going to get out of here. Y'all know the drill, toodles and noodles. Peace and hair grease.